I wanted to let y'all know that the reason that I'm doing this upload of video is to present my research proposal. I've done some thinking about what I wanted to discuss or write my proposal on, and I've determined that from being in the field of vocational rehabilitation, I've seen a few delays in some people, and it's an embarrassing discussion that they have to have, or that you'd like for them to have. And that's the discussion of sexual education. For those of us, for those that are sighted, I'll say it that way, those that are sighted and born that way, we kind of have a upper hand when it comes to sexuality. I've gone in and I did some research after my initial proposal of my research questions, and I was asked by Dr. Dalton to kind of clarify them a little bit more, because anybody could Google my question, and I thought, okay, well, let me get a little bit deeper on this. The actual reason for my research question or my proposal is, from what I find, the latest look at sex education and blind people was done in 1974 and updated in 1985. There has been a couple of papers written back in 2012 and 2013, and those are the most up-to-date that I could find. But what I wanted to know, those papers that I found all kind of dealt with like a smaller age group. 18 to 30 was the largest gap, and the oldest was 30. My thoughts were, I'd like to do a comparison to how individuals that are blind were taught or learned sex education when they were younger, and how they are taught now. So my cross-section is more of a compilation of two different types of studies that were done. I'm going to compare, I want to do research from 18 to 25-year-olds and how they learned about sex, if it was in the classroom, one-on-one, on the streets, or through parents. And then look at those that are aged 50 to 65 and blind. Now, of course, all of this comes about with when they went blind, when they lost their sight, what type of schooling they had, if they were actually in a school for the blind, because they can learn from each other, or if there was just a self-taught situation. If you think about the reasons behind sexuality and how sexuality arises, we that are sighted can see the cues that are given. The flirtatious glances, the flip of the hair, the wink, the duck face. And those that are blind don't get to see that. They don't see those subtle nuances, and they aren't aware of gender differences in the beginning, that those have to be taught. They aren't aware of appropriate touching, inappropriate actions, being able to know when they're alone or not alone, and trust. There's the Texas School for the Blind has a large library on this, and on where and when blind children should start learning about sex. And some believe that it's from birth on, which, if you think about it, we're not talking the act of sex, we're talking general sexuality, differences, breastfeeding, pregnancy, male, female, all bunch of different things that we're going to just put into the term sex. And of course there is down the road the act of sex. But to feel sexual, to be looked at as a sexual being, can be very difficult if you are not a sighted person. So this is kind of where my research proposal is going. I'm trying to do an upgrade of the studies that have been done in the past. I have had difficulty locating current information, and I kind of find that interesting. It's more intriguing because, yeah, so it's been done, but things have changed in the last 40 years. There's a lot more openness. There's a lot more talking. There's a lot more videos. There's a lot more education. And the difference also that I found was what states require. Different states require different programs to be done and held in school. I still remember back when I was in 5th or 7th grade, I'm not sure which, about being separated, boys in one room, girls in the other, and we were shown this video. It still didn't make any sense. I think it was a cartoonish video, or it was made in the 60s or something, and the birds and the bees kind of thing. My daughter got the whole learning experience at school, or through education, shall I say, not experience, at 8th grade. Same thing. Pulled them apart, put them in separate rooms, and showed them these videos. And there was no tolerance or allowing for any questions or answers, or that's not appropriate. You know, it's like, go home, ask your mom. Well, there's a lot of kids out there that won't do that. There's a lot of parents out there that won't approach it. And there's also those that don't know. So I feel that if it's a necessary learning tool to be had by sighted, then I do believe that those that are not sighted need it even more so. Some of the research that I've been able to locate thus far through my literature reviews does indicate that there is a catch-up time period. We can look back and see that those that were tested previously, sighted versus unsighted, there's about a 3-year delay in how they act and when they experience things. So my curiosity, like I said, came up with, I'm wondering if kids of today who are blind are learning sex education more in depth at an earlier age, if there's a gender difference in the way that they're learning it and where they're learning it. Are they still picking it up on the streets? Are they still learning it from up here? Are the parents actually involved in this? And then I want to talk to the group of the older individuals and find out when their educational beginnings of sex, when they started learning about sex from the 50 to 65-year-old age group. I have a feeling that with that you would find a big discrepancy. I'm having hope and beliefs that this is something that we have overcome, the taboo of sexuality. And at first I was working towards how the phase of when we learned made it different, but then I got entangled in the differences of how they're learning now and how they learned in the past. So it's going to be interesting to actually see what I do finally come up with, but I believe that this is a valid research proposal. I believe that the information will show differences, and I do believe that it's going to prove that the earlier that people can learn and be educated about things when they're blind, it will be better off in the long run. So hopefully it all comes together, and I look forward to showing my final proposal. Thank you.